Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
Bruce Gaines is just recently paroled from prison. Looks like back in 1990, he was arrested for murder.
Over the past hour, we have also seen more and more family and friends arrive here at this crime scene. Tears rolling down their faces, hugging each other for support and comfort, and just waiting for police to give them any information they can about what happened and who they are actively searching for. The person who committed this deadly crime.
And his sister told me, she said, Auntie, I hate to tell you this bad news, but he gone. Who gone? Bruce, he gone.
DeKalb County Police, along with homicide detectives, canvassed the scene for hours. They say multiple 911 calls came in after a string of gunshots erupted here Tuesday night. Police say they found rounds from 4 different firearms, and they believe all 4 were used during the shooting.
Police are trying to figure out what happened after someone shot 6 people. 2 people died, and among the victims, a 6-year-old now at Grady Hospital in critical condition. The shooting happened around 7 o'clock Sunday night at the Dunbar Recreation Center inside Rosa L. Bruni Park. As of right now, police have not shared any information about a suspect. Crime in Southwest Atlanta already on track to exceed the level of crime that we saw there last year. So the question is a simple one, but not easily ascertained. How can you keep your family safe?
Atlanta, Georgia, the capital of the South, a city built on black excellence, political power, and cultural pride. But underneath the glitz, the business, and the boom, Atlanta has always had a violent heartbeat. In 2004, with over 5.2 million people spread across the metro area, the city recorded about 100 homicides within its limits, a number that might still shock some. Shootouts in broad daylight, carjackings in upscale neighborhoods, and gang wars seemingly tearing through the city with reckless abandon. In today's world, where every murder becomes a trending topic, every tragedy captured and shared in seconds, some people's perception is probably things have never been worse. But for those who know, they remember a different time in Atlanta, a time when the bullets didn't need social media to leave their mark, back when the world wasn't watching and the city was bleeding in silence. In 1990, the Atlanta metropolitan area was home to just under 2.9 million people.
Previous homicide record of 241 was set in 1990. This was according to a report by CNN.
That year, the city will record a staggering 241 homicides, mostly within the city's limits, at a time when the violence wasn't being filmed, but it was far more widespread. Those killings would amount to a murder rate of 64.6 per 100,000 residents within the core city, one of the highest in the nation. And just by looking at the numbers, it would be easy for someone to assume that Atlanta was twice as deadly back then as it is today. And the war zones, they weren't in fancy suburbs or subdivisions or the glamorous downtown high-rises. They were in the city's public housing projects like East Lake Meadows, Perry Homes, Bowen Homes, Techwood, John Hope, Hollywood Courts. Y'all go ahead and finish the list in the comments. But places where crack cocaine would fuel the violence, where gangs divided the corners, and the sound of automatic gunfire didn't cause panic because it was part of the background noise that they already knew. While places like Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, and New York would soak up the national spotlight during America's most violent decade, Atlanta's chapter was written in the shadows because at that time, it didn't have the press, it didn't have the headlines, but it had the bodies. Now, this is the part of Atlanta's story that rarely gets told. Not the booming black Mecca, not the Olympic host city, but the side of the city where blood was spilt and pretty much forgotten.
I ended up asking one of my big homies, Beast, about Bruce Gaines, and he told me he was like, Bruce Gaines was he was like, first of all, he told me that Bruce was a notorious robber in Atlanta. Say, as y'all keep on hearing me say his name, it was always said like that. It was never Bruce. It was never Mr. Gaines. I've never heard any of that. Whenever you said his name was one name, Bruce Gaines. If Bruce Gaines was on you, then you had problems. You know what I mean? If Bruce Gaines came to take it from you, then the best bet was probably to go ahead and give it up.
Before Atlanta was crowned the finesse capital of the world, a place where scamming, smooth talk, and charisma would replace crack rock and corner boys, it had a completely different reputation. Names like Charles Black, Tony Tripp, and Cowpack would loom large as respected men, known not just for what they did, but how they did it. High-level operators who would control their situations with calculation rather than chaos. But not everybody in Atlanta's underworld would build their legacy through hustle or finesse. Some would carve theirs through force, fear, and the barrel of a gun. Amongst them, allegedly, was a guy by the name of Bruce Gaines. His name wouldn't just intersect with violence, it would become synonymous with it. In a city that would later perfect the art of finesse and become known as a place for getting money without muscle, Bruce Gaines seemed to represent something a little bit different. And his story and the story of his son will become a reminder of a time when back road killings and bodies wouldn't just haunt the city, it would define it.
We're trying to track down a killer who stabbed a woman a short while ago in northwest Atlanta. Fox 5's Denise Dillon is live for us in northwest Atlanta tonight. Denise, do police have any leads as to who did this?
Not yet, but they are desperately searching for those leads right now. The woman was killed just a half a block from where I am standing, just down the road here. Police tell us it was a woman who was stabbed to death, and the person who did it took off. Police are trying to find him right now. Over the past hour, we have also seen more and more family and friends arrive here at this crime scene. Tears rolling down their faces, hugging each other for support and comfort, and just waiting for police to give them any information they can about what happened and who they are actively searching for, the person who committed this deadly crime.
When they say the suspect's name, Bruce Gaines, I locked completely in, and I'm watching, and I'm like, dang, but they said that what was going on was happening in Alabama. It was like Alabama first 48. And I'm thinking, dang, well, Bruce Gaines is from Atlanta. But then they put his TV on, they put his picture on the TV, and sure enough, it was the Bruce Gaines that I know, the Bruce Gaines that I used to talk to all the time. And, he was the king of the young guys. The young guys used to go home. I remember Fifth Ward went home. They used to go home and have free Bruce Gaines t-shirts made. And they would take pictures in the free Bruce Gaines t-shirt and send them back into the prison. Bruce Gaines had pictures with all those pictures with all the young dudes with the shirts on, free Bruce Gaines. They did a whole campaign for him.
Apparently, Bruce Gaines was no stranger to violence. His name had become echoed in Atlanta's bloodiest era, a time where fear ruled the streets, and his reputation allegedly was built on brutality. But nearly 3 decades after what would become known as the bloodiest time in the city, Gaines' name would resurface. This time, not in the streets, but on a national crime television show. The year was 2014, The allegation? Murder. He was implicated in the killing of a woman, the second that would be attributed to him during that same era.
Bruce Gaines just recently paroled from prison. Looks like back in 1990, he was arrested for murder. He killed his girlfriend. And he was given a sentence of 20 years. It goes hand in hand that he's got an extremely violent past, and Phyllis was killed in an extremely violent manner.
From overnight, police are looking for witnesses to a deadly stabbing. They say a woman was found in the yard of a Southwest Atlanta home. Channel 2 Steve Gelbach is live on Mims Street. Steve, investigators say the victim may have been at that location for hours.
Yeah, detectives told me the timeline is anywhere from 10 p.m. all the way through 3 a.m. and that body was found just a few feet from the curb in the grass over here behind this SUV. But detectives say that woman doesn't appear to have any connection to this home or that car. A newspaper carrier on his route around 3 in the morning saw the body of a woman lying in a yard and called 911.
The police were at the front door. They woke me up. They said it was a girl dead in the front yard.
Detectives say she had many stab wounds. The man who lives at the home doesn't know who she is or how she ended up in his yard.
That's crazy.
Investigators believe the victim may have been murdered hours before she was found.
That's what the evidence is showing us, that she may have been out here for a while. So that's why we're asking anyone if they saw anything to give us a call.
Police say none of the neighbors reported anything unusual overnight.
Didn't hear anything.
Didn't see anything?
Didn't see anything.
Detectives are also working to determine if the woman was killed here or if she was just dumped in the yard after the stabbing.
They said they think by the amount of blood, they think it happened here, but I don't know.
We have been checking with the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office. They have not identified this body. In the last check with police, they had no identity either. She's described as around 40 years old, so police do need help from the public. If anyone has information that they heard anything from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., they want to hear from you. Live in Southwest Atlanta, Steve Gelbach, Channel 2 Action News, Sunday a.m.
What? He opened fire? Oh, man. Everybody okay? All right, I appreciate the quick heads up, man. You are not going to believe this. What? He was laid up in a house out there in Alabama. They make an entry through the front door. They see Gaines in the living room. He takes off running, runs towards the back of the house. They hear a gunshot. They found Gaines. He had shot himself in the head, locked himself in the bathroom, shot himself in the head.
In The Merchant of Venice, William Shakespeare would write, "The sins of a father are to be laid upon the children." Now, it might have been written back in the 1500s or some shit, but when you look at the story of Bruce Gaines, it would hit like a prophecy.
Yeah, man, you know, we broadcasting live right here, man, where it really go down at, man, you know what I mean? The heart of the A, man, right here on Simpson and Extra right here, man. Cooling it, man, you know what I mean? Real nigga shit, man, ENT, man. Brew Gang, man, you know what I mean? Shit coming soon, man. Rest in peace to my boy Caesar Rex, man. You know, you do this shit scornful, bro. You know what I mean? Young B. One love to all my niggas, man. You know how this shit go, man. Real nigga shit, man. We gonna keep this shit strong, man. 2011, man. A lot of shit down here, but man, get what, man? We gonna let this shit stop, but man, this shit hard early, but get what, man? We gonna keep this shit pushing, man. Real nigga shit, man.
Straight up, straight up.
It seems Bruce Gaines had gained a name behind multiple violent acts that would mark one of the city's darkest eras. But in just under 10 years from when he would take his own life, his son, Bruce Gaines Jr., would be gunned down on the same streets that his father was once associated with terrorizing. And it would be all too easy for a person to look at it like the cycle didn't just continue. It came back with a vengeance.
Breaking News now. Gunfire at a DeKalb County apartment complex, leaving one man dead just days before his birthday. Well, now investigators are working to figure out who killed him and why. And Good Day's Brooke Zahner is live at that scene for us. What can you tell us, Brooke?
Yeah, good morning to you, Caitlin. All of this happening at the Glen Hollow apartment complex off of Flat Shoals Parkway in DeKalb County. It's a very active scene. You can see that a wrecker just got here on scene. Police obviously still out here canvassing, looking at evidence. And according to homicide detectives, the suspected shooter, we know, fired multiple rounds. They say they found more than 90 shell casing out here since they responded to this scene right around 10:45 last night. Police also telling us that they found rounds from 4 different weapons out here that they believe were used in this shooting. Now, we know that multiple cars and apartment buildings were also hit by those gunshots. Police say right now they don't know if the victim was an intended target in this case, but they tell us he was 32 years old. We also spoke to his family out here just a couple of hours ago. You can imagine they're distraught by all of this. They say he leaves behind multiple children, and he would have been 33 years old this Friday. More than 90 shell casings were found at the Glen Hollow apartments Wednesday morning. DeKalb County police responded to the shooting around 10:45 the night before and found a 32-year-old man dead on scene.
I feel numb, you know, it's senseless violence, you know, it got to stop. And I'm gonna miss my nephew. I love my nephew.
Cassie Johnson says her nephew is the victim, and she got a call about the shooting early Wednesday morning.
I was at home probably about 1:15 this morning. My phone rang. And his sister told me, she said, "Auntie, I hate to tell you this bad news, but he gone." Who gone? Bruce, he gone.
DeKalb County police, along with homicide detectives, canvassed the scene for hours. They say multiple 911 calls came in after a string of gunshots erupted here Tuesday night. Police say they found rounds from 4 different firearms, and they believe all 4 were used during the shooting. Multiple cars and apartment homes were also hit. Johnson says her nephew just moved into the complex 4 months ago.
They crying and they upset, you know. It's senseless. We love them. You know, it's senseless. So it gotta stop. It gotta stop. We gotta do better.
DeKalb police say they've responded to multiple shootings at the Glen Hollow apartments previously, and many of them go unreported. Investigators say they don't know if the 32-year-old victim in this case was the intended target. And at last check with DeKalb County Police, they say they do not have a suspect in custody. However, they say they are following a very good lead after talking to several witnesses out here who saw things and obviously heard that gunfire erupt. That's the latest here in DeKalb County. I'm Brooke Zahner for Good Day Atlanta.